So we'll see what happens. If they make it, fine. If they don't make it, that's fine. We can do actually more damage with even fewer troops. So we're bringing it down very substantially. We're going to stay until such time as we have a deal or we have total victory.
President Trump announcing negotiations with the Taliban are back on during a surprise visit with troops in Afghanistan.
So is an end to the longest war in American history finally in sight?
Joining us now, senior fellow for the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies, Behnam Taleblu. Sir, thank you so much for being here. A question for you. What input, if any, or impact, I should say, if any, will this trip have on ending the war in Afghanistan?
Well, great to be with you guys, and happy belated Thanksgiving. The impact remains to be seen right now. You know, the Taliban may want to capitalize on some of the president's decisions to want to start peace talks. It may want to sit them out if it understands that the U.S. troop numbers are going to go down no matter what happens. There's an incentive for the Taliban to actually sit on the sidelines and perhaps even escalate attacks. As we all know, the war in Afghanistan is America's longest war, 19 years and counting, countless American and allied deaths in that country. But the president in this administration campaigned on ending endless wars. And there is a responsible way to do that, and the responsible way is setting the battlefield predicate for a negotiated outcome and an orderly withdrawal, not a withdrawal on a political timetable.
So do you think that the president will start bringing troops home before a negotiation with the Taliban is completed?
Well, much depends on how the Taliban reacts to this offer, as well as what the current state of play is with the territories that the Taliban is controlling. You know, there's disputed reports. There's DOD numbers about districts that the Kabul controls. There's other open source reporting that contests that information. So it remains to be seen. If the Taliban sit on the sidelines, then that may not actually happen.
Do you think the president can ultimately, at the end of the day, fulfill that campaign promise to really extract us as much as possible from the region without creating a power vacuum that will be filled by, quite frankly, let's call them what they are, our enemies, Iran, Russia?
Todd, you hit the nail right on the head there, because countries on the sidelines and on the periphery of Afghanistan are simply waiting for America to make the mistake that it made in Syria on another side of the globe. And Afghanistan is that other side. Russia has interest in Afghanistan. Pakistan, don't forget, to Afghanistan's east has interest there, and Iran. All these countries are looking to capitalize on an American power vacuum. So if they see the numbers drastically decline, and if they see the Taliban have an uptick in attacks, they have an incentive to work with the Taliban and make it look like America was driven out of its longest war.
President Trump has previously called off peace negotiations with the Taliban back in September after a bombing that killed 12 people, including a U.S. soldier. So what has changed from then to now?
Well, perhaps there's a political desire to actually go back to this idea of a negotiated settlement with the Taliban. I think ultimately it's going to be tough to make peace with such folks. But if there is this overwhelming political desire, there is, again, going to have to be a battlefield predicate. And I don't necessarily see changes in the U.S. force posture that actually strengthen the ability to get that predicate. If anything, and if the desire to get the troops out is so strong, we actually may end up hurting ourselves at the negotiating table if we withdraw, regardless of what the Taliban says. Because we all have to remember, as Matt has said, the enemy gets a vote. So we all have to watch very closely now how the Taliban reacts.
10 seconds we have remaining. Let's flash forward to the day after Thanksgiving in 2020. What is our presence in Afghanistan?
Well, I think it'll be somewhat diminished, but the U.S. forces will still be there. How those neighboring countries react, of course, Russia, Pakistan, and Iran, will be key.
All right. Excellent insight. Thank you so much for being with us. We do appreciate it.
My pleasure.